Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, former UFC heavyweight champion, WWF Tag Team Intercontinental, and King of the Ring champion. You're listening to Unsanctioned.
Damas y caballeros, bienvenidos al Unsanctioned Podcast. I'm Luis Vasquez. You can find me on Twitter at LuisVasquez617.
Yeah, I didn't know half the stuff he said there, but this is your boy Jay Holland.
I'm just
You
hyped.
can find me at
I'm hyped.
JL City across social media, which is JAYOCITY, unless it's at Facebook at that 781 at the end.
Deep breath.
And I'm Julio. After those introductions, saying I'm Julio kind of just doesn't do anything now.
He is back, ladies and gentlemen. Julio June is with us.
I'm Julio, and
How
you're
are
not.
ya?
You already know, man. Kaka is in the building. And ladies
Landed.
and gentlemen, once again, we are trying to get Julio into the 21st century. Trying to get
I
him
have a cell phone. What do
invested.
you mean?
Trying to get him on social media. Twitter, let me be specific. We're going to ease him baby steps. You know, get him on Twitter. We are only accepting great Twitter handles for this young man. So please submit your submissions to unsanctionedpodcast@gmail.com or on our Twitter page or Facebook pages, which can be found at unsanctionedpw.
And thank you to fightboothpw.com for hosting, for being the platform of the Unsanctioned Podcast. We appreciate the love and support. Visit fightboothpw.com today. They have a whole bunch of content, great things going on over there. Check that out, up and coming. But this is the Unsanctioned Podcast, and we are ready to rock, man.
Yeah.
Get him, Jay.
Oh, man. Who do we got today? We have a gentleman who I selfishly would just love to introduce me anywhere I'm going. To me, he's on par with Paul Heyman as far as introductions of any WWE superstar.
High praise.
Yes. And I think you guys would be lying. You heard Luis try to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
I had to get that off my chest.
I think anyone would be lying.
Yeah,
Any
baby.
wrestling fan would be lying if they said they hadn't tried this one time. Alberto Del Rio. We don't have him on. We have Ricardo Rodriguez joining the Unsanctioned Podcast. You already know this is the Unsanctioned Podcast. We are now being sanctioned over your airwaves.
A big
Let's
get for the
get it.
Unsanctioned Podcast. Let's go.
Show me where you at. Show me where you at. Show me where you at. If you getting money, homie, show me where you at. Smoke loud, I'm addicted to the poet. Cruise 42, time for the Frank.
The Unsanctioned Podcast has Ricardo Rodriguez.
You did like your Michael Buffer there, kind of.
I know.
It was like
I
a
know.
mixture.
I started to lean back a little bit.
It's like a
just get
mixture of your
comfortable.
favorite announcers, I think. A little bit of
hybrid.
little bit of Howard Finkel in there.
I know, right?
We had to give him a big
WWF Championship. But yeah, man, we're back.
Unsanctioned 2018.
Yes.
Whoa.
First episode of the 2018.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we start with the splash. We have the man himself, the man, like you said, Jay, who honestly, I'm going to just take the words right out of your mouth. It's like, because you already said it, is I wish you could introduce me into every room I walk into.
Exactly. Just
And we've all
imagine.
tried that announcement. We already done it like twice.
Some varying, degrees of success. I think your first attempt was pretty good. That second attempt, kind of iffy.
It wasn't even him. You said Michael Bufferish.
Specifically
Kinda
Luis,
Howard
ladies and
Finkel-ish.
gentlemen.
Kinda
Julio
iffy.
is pointing out Luis.
Kind of iffy. But that first attempt, very solid.
Maybe because he had the little, he went bilingual on us too.
Well, nonetheless, we've got a huge talent on this show.
Huge.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Mr. Ricardo Rodriguez.
You've always wanted to do
He
that, huh?
try to give it a little bit of justice there.
I did.
I know it wasn't on par, but
I had my hand, the Booker T
you know
hand
the
going.
vibe. I was feeling the vibe.
Ricardo, what grade do you give him? A strong
You know,
D?
he did a pretty good. Yeah, let's do a strong B.
Strong B. I'll take that.
You
B is
what I
in
mean?
point.
If you do that, hold on. If you throw in an extra 100, I'll make it an A.
Well,
100% effort, correct?
if anyone can do that here, it's Jay. Hey, welcome to the show, Ricardo, Jesus, Rodriguez. You go by both. Obviously, a lot of people know you from your WWE days as Ricardo, but you're making a name for yourself as Jesus. What have you been up to?
Oh, no, you know what? Well, Jesus is my real name.
Yep.
Rodriguez is my real name, so they can't take Rodriguez away from me.
Nope.
So that's mine.
Now, Ricardo was, and then, I mean, pardon if it offends anybody, but Ricardo was my slave name, basically.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
So-
Truth. Hey, truth.
Being 100.
Truth.
Hey, our motto here on the Unsanctioned Podcast is everything is on the table. So
Anything
keep
goes.
at it.
Oh, perfect.
Anything goes.
No, I've been pretty good, man. Just, doing a lot of international stuff, whether it's in India, Australia, the UK, all over Europe, Mexico, and then obviously here in the Americas. So I've been busy, and then I'm actually here at the wrestling Pro Wrestling 2.0 school right now at the moment. It's a little cold because I can't be inside, only because they're all bumping, and then it would interfere with the sound and everything. So I came outside. I'm sitting in my car, and it's still a little cold.
He's sacrificing for us right now. Now tell us about the wrestling school, because I see you active in it. You tweeted out earlier that you would be going for training. So just give us some background on that.
Well, Pro Wrestling 2.0 has been around for a little greater part of about near 3 years. Only recently has it really started, getting momentum. And just like any business, it takes trial and error. And then, we've moved to several locations, all within the same area, but different locations, just whatever fits, our budget. So yeah, like actually we finally settled down, and then we're here at this location, and we're very happy. We have a vast variety of guys that come in, like for instance, obviously we have our homegrown people, and then because we're in Orlando, and then we're only about a mile away from the PC, whenever like an unfortunate soul gets released, the first place they come is it's us. They come, roll around, they work out with our guys, which is great because it helps out with the student morale. If they see these guys that they saw on TV, and then now they're here. They come down to the place, roll around, and it helps. And then obviously within myself, obviously the beautiful Santana Garrett, and then now Mr. 450, the Mecha Wolf, that has joined us these last couple of weeks. It's been pretty fun, man, and I'm very happy about it. It's actually owned by a former WWF wrestler named Alex the Pug Porto. So it's been good, man. Yeah, it's been good.
Now, Ricardo, you just mentioned something about your time at the PC. For those of you who don't know, it's the WWE Performance Center, and I know you were there, pretty early on before it became known as the Performance Center it is today, and then you were there at the end. Kind of compare your time when you first started there to what it was like when you ended there.
Well, I was actually, when I was signed, we were in Tampa. It was FCW, and that's where most of the guys that you see on TV. That's where most of them started. Was at Florida Championship Wrestling, that was owned by Steve Kern, and then eventually they all moved to Florida, and that's where they are now. So like I was actually there when they opened the PC. Well, I wasn't physically there, but I mean I was there during that time. And it's a lot different. It's a lot different. Now, if you ask me that I was trained on the outside in LA back, 2006, in a little like warehouse that had no AC, and if anybody has ever been to California, it's a desert. So during the summer, no AC. We had those like BS fans that had that were just rolling around. During the summer, and then we had this hot ass ring, and then we were taught by we had many different trainers at different locations, but most of us had either like a hardcore luchador from Mexico that all he knew was basically like either like amateur wrestling and conditioning, or you had some kind of a Samoan. Whose lineage comes from obviously the Alpha.
Yeah.
So we they beat the hell out of us, whether it's a lucha guy or a Samoan. They beat the hell of us. So you compare that to what they have at the PC, and these dudes are spoiled. But that's just me coming from the outside. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm jealous of the guys at the PC. I am, because I wish I had that upbringing. So hard ass rings. Those they weren't even like wrestling rings. They were boxing rings. So we had to learn how to like safely bump or just take it. And it's a lot different. It's a lot different.
So, Jesus, you've been in the Royal Rumble. That's coming up, obviously. I don't know if you watch or not, but I've always been intrigued by how much coordination goes into that. Take me through exactly like what the planning is for each individual guy in terms of timing and when to do what, who's going to eliminate who. What does that look like? What's the blueprint for a Royal Rumble?
It's divided in sections. So in a sense, basically, let's say I'm just going back in memory. Let's say like number 1 through 5, they're handled by this agent, and then number 6 through 11 or 17 or whatever, they're handled by this guy. So we only know what's going to happen between our guy or our section. We don't know what's going to happen beforehand or after our sections. And then as far as time, once you get to WWE, you learn how to time stuff. You learn how to time matches. So that's something that it takes time to learn. It seriously takes time to learn, especially for when it comes to TV. If they tell you, hey, you have 7 minutes, you better hit that 7-minute mark. Because if you go over, they're going to get mad. If you go way under, they're going to get mad. So you better hit that 7-minute mark. So basically, like, you have to learn how to time it.
Yeah.
In your head, and then that takes time. That's a skill in itself. That like I've been to indie shows that like have supposed quote unquote TV.
Yeah.
And then like I'll just overhear, hey, you guys have 10, and then you watch the match and they went like 16, full of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, no, like I'm overhearing what they're calling, and in my head I'm thinking that's not 10.
Being in the Royal Rumble, and I know a lot of people who may not know that you actually do wrestle and have a wrestling background. I was amazed to see you do, a run at Insecurity before, and I was like, oh wow, like he did that pretty easily.
Alex Riley, right? Alex Riley, was that who it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, he did that with effortlessly, So, like, tell us about the transition from just being in-ring performer to not a commentator, but an announcer to WWE champions, and then as well as a manager of both as well.
Okay, so nobody, because I wasn't the center of attention, or I was like, let me backtrack. And I've said this before in many interviews. I was only supposed to be there for Del Rio's debut. I wasn't supposed to be a reoccurring character. I was supposed to be just for the debut. But Vince liked it, and they hired me. So I was only supposed to be there for Del Rio's debut, and that was it. It was supposed to be a one-time shot. But Vince really liked it, and he kept me. And then I was there for 4.5 years or something, roughly something like that. And it just stuck. It just stuck, and I was there.
If I may say
transition,
so, if I may say so, real quick, I felt that Alberto's a great in-ring performer, but that character would have never got over without you.
Yeah, to start off.
I mean, no, you know what? I think it was because we developed this really close friendship. I think that's what kind of portrayed on TV, and that's what made the whole thing work. It wasn't because like if I did by myself, I wouldn't have lasted long at all. I wouldn't have lasted a year. But because we just happened to feed off of each other very well, us together, we made it work. It wasn't like one person versus the other. It was a team effort. So, because I mean, don't get me wrong. Like right now, he's killing it everywhere in the Indies.
Mm.
So like he's doing great. He's in the Combate Americas and he's doing all this stuff. So he's doing amazing. He has no complaints in the world. But yeah, I think it was honestly a team effort. I think that's what it was. It wasn't any one individual that did it. It was us together.
Has there been any talk about you going to Impact and pairing up with him?
It's been brought up in the past. I mean, we've discussed it. Just the last time, actually, and I wasn't even going to go with Del Rio. I was supposed to just go by myself. This was right before Billy Corgan came in.
Yep.
But then Billy Corgan came in, and everything just kind of, all the plans just stopped. Because actually, no, okay, hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit. I do that a lot, so keep that in mind. I do that a lot. Right. Where I start with something, and I was like, no, hold on. Let me tell you the backstory. So the original idea that because Al Snow hit me up that TNA was going to go to India, Now, I spent 6 months in India, so they're like, hey, well, you have experience with, the market over there, which I did. I put 3 shows together that in total, between the 3 shows, we drew over 100,000 people. So that created a buzz here in the States. And so TNA contacted me about that because they were going to go to India. They were like, hey, we figured the market, guys that we can possibly use. Would you like to come with us? And then we'll, talk business. I was like, yeah, cool. So I went. I met up with them at Universal, discussed it with a Big, obviously Snow and a couple other guys, and then we were set. Cool. And then the whole Billy Corgan thing came in, and then that's when everything just stopped. All the plans stopped. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks, because I basically had the green light that I was going to go to TNA in one form or the other. Which would have been great for me, because I live in Orlando. They're in Orlando. I wouldn't have to fight. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing that was going on. And then, like I said, and I'm not blaming Billy or anything. It's just something that happened that just put all plans on hold. So I mean, it wasn't anything that Al did or Big did. It was just something that happened. And so then that happened, and then after that, everything just kind of died out, because I guess there was a lot of things that were going on in the office, whether Billy completely took it over, he's not, he's this and that, whatever. So it just never came to fruition.
Now, with the development of 205 Live, do you ever see yourself going back to WWE as an in-ring performer?
To be honest, I left for a reason. And here's something, right? People think that I was fired. I was never fired. I left. I left for a reason. I don't think the current office was very fond of me, and I don't think they're fond of me now, or still, rather. So I don't see myself going back as in-ring. I could see myself going back as a producer, as a trainer, because essentially that's what I was doing before I left. I didn't have that title, but essentially that's what I was doing. I was putting matches together. I was training their guys that were coming up from NXT. They would put them with me before Raw SmackDown to roll around with them to kind of show them that slow down. That was the number one. Tell them to slow down. Work the cameras. Work the cameras. Tell them to relax. So that's what I was doing. And then on tours or house shows, they would put me with guys that were coming up just to under the mask, for the same reason. Tell them to slow down. Work the cameras, even though there weren't really many cameras around. Just tell them, just pretend there's a hard cam. The stage is a hard cam. So just to kind of get him into that motion of TV. Because back then NXT wasn't as big as it is now. So they didn't have that big exposure of these big shows and all that other stuff, right? So it was a lot different. So they would put either myself or let's say Regal or back then Chavo or TJ Wilson or Kurt Hawkins. We were those guys that they would points. Hey, make them look good. Tell them, work with them. Cool. So yeah, that's about it. But as far as 205 Live, you know what? Honestly, I don't watch it. I have a lot of those guys there are my friends. I actually just spent New Year's Eve with Cedric Alexander. So I love them all. So I'm not knocking any of what they do, but I just don't watch Raw or SmackDown. Occasionally, if I'm home, if Law and Order is not on, or
if there's not a good episode of SVU on,
if Law and Order is not on, then I'll switch it over to Raw or SmackDown.
You just said two things that a lot of our past guests have said before in past podcasts. One, that they don't watch the current product, and two, that certain factors in the current WWE office are keeping them for reasons out of rejoining the WWE or being extended a hand from the WWE. What do you think is keeping you out of there, and what do you think is the prevalent underlying factor for why past guys don't watch today's products?
What's keeping me out, straight up, and I've said this before, so I'm not afraid to say it again, is the boss, the current boss.
Are we talking about the overall boss?
He doesn't want to play the game.
Not Vince.
Yeah, okay then.
Vince loved us.
Okay.
Vince loved us because Vince Again, all the stuff that I'm going to say is the stuff that I said before, so I'm not afraid to say it again. I just learned how to say it differently. Vince was very approachable, so long as you were affirmative and assertive about what you were coming to him about. If you kind of came into him kind of shy or whatever, then he'll eat you alive. But I've noticed that any businessman will do that though. If he sees that he can kind of sweep in and then take over what you're trying to put out, then no, it's not going to happen. Right? And that's not just Vince. That's just any business. So you got to come in strong. You got to come in with with delivery. And that's what Vince, he liked it. The current boss wasn't too fond of that. he liked his yes men. And again, and mind you, I've been out of the company for a couple of years already, so I don't know what it's like now. It might be different now. I hope it is for the sanctity of the boys. But like at the time, if you came up to him and said, "Hey, what's up with this?" Well, we don't like it. Okay, you're off the house shows. The fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, do you think, as, and I was gonna say it out there, as somebody who doesn't fit the classic traditional mold of what the WWE and WWF puts out, it's harder for you to make it?
Not necessarily, because because like I'll put it this way, they were so keen, and I kid you not, this is like a running joke for a good while. They were so keen about getting in shape and then getting different gear, right? And then Kevin Steen comes up. Right, so like, okay, he's a big boy. He's athletic as hell. Don't get me wrong, and he's great. He's a hell of a talker. And then I think the first year he had ones which you can get at Walmart. And I think cause somebody pointed that out, and when we would go back, and I think once or twice we noticed that he was wearing one. So we're like, okay, so they're pushing down at NXT physique and gear. And then, ta-da! So that was one, right? That was one. And then now you on the other side, you have Bray Wyatt, who is a completely different character than what you have as the other boys. He's not, I mean, again, and I go back, I'm not knocking the dudes because I love them. I love them all. I love what they're doing. They're different, and I love it. They're our version of what Shawn Michaels was back then. If you really think about it,
yep.
Shawn Michaels came in and he was half the size of everybody else. Yeah, he was in shape, but he was half the size of everybody else. He was different from everybody else, right. And he made a big impact. Same with these two guys, right? They're not the same as everybody else, but they're killing it. So I'm happy for them. But like it's one of those things where like they'll tell you one thing and then they'll do something completely different, and that's just the way it goes.
Now, during your tenure with the company, you are part of some good feuds there. You and Alberto, you guys with Dolph Ziggler, who he's in my personal stable, and I feel he's very underutilized. Just tell us about some of the superstars during your time there that you felt were underutilized that could have probably did more with, and that they could have actually been bigger names.
Sandow, easily. Sandow was amazing. And then some of the matches we had with him, he was so amazing. He was easy to work with, and I'm just talking right now like of guys that underutilized. Sandow for sure. Obviously Dolph. TJ. Just trying, man, it's been a while. I'm trying to remember the roster then versus the roster now. They were there while we were there. Cesaro, obviously. I don't like I said, I haven't really watched it recently, so I don't know what's going on. So if it's changed, great. If it hasn't, that sucks.
Not much has changed. To say so. But you guys are also in iconic feuds with, such as with John Cena and, of course, The Big Show, where you famously duct taped The Big Show's feet around the ring post in the last man standing match.
Man, like Big Show is great. Honestly, he was easy to work with, believe it or not. And then, dude, I've taken that punch between all those programs that we had with him. I've taken that punch At least 100. At least 100 times. He's probably got me maybe once or twice. Maybe.
With the punch? He's connected?
Yeah, with the punch. Yeah, maybe. And then that was just, it happens.
Hey, I've always wondered about that. It looks stiff as hell, man. He makes it look good.
No, he makes it look so good. And like I said, out of 100, let's say he only actually got you maybe once or twice.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's a pretty good track record.
No one bats 100.
So,
1,000. So
exactly. So no, he was easy to work with, honestly. And then he was a big teddy bear. He threw his fits every now and then, but so we all do.
Now, what'd you enjoy more? What'd you enjoy more? Did you enjoy being the face, mouthpiece for Alberto, or did you enjoy your heel?
Heel.
Okay.
Heel, easily. I like being a dick. I mean, not physically, but I like being a jerk.
Not physically. No. We always hear that.
Not only that, but like, I'll tell you why. As a face, there's not much, honestly, for the manager to do. As a heel, you have so many things you can do. As a face, you're limited. You can't cheat. All you have to do is be a cheerleader. Which, hey, okay, cool, and it gets boring, it's dull. Unless we're doing like an Eddie Guerrero type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Unless we're doing that kind of shit, like the Liachi and Steel stuff. There's not much a face manager really can do. Now, obviously, there's exceptions. If you're a girl, first of all, if you're a girl, face or heel, you're never going to get touched. But you know what? I'm going to go back inside my car. It's too cold.
How cold could it really be in Orlando for you to need to duck out into your car?
Well, again, mind you, also bear in mind, we were training inside, so my body's still warm.
Oh, there we go. I'm jealous.
You better
Boston.
watch out, Louis. Somebody hit you with a corkscrew moonsault.
Man, Orlando, I would dream to be in Orlando right now. It's freezing in Boston. Freezing.
Why would you want to live in Boston? I'm just kidding. No, you know what?
We're asking ourselves that actively as we speak.
Hold on. Let me explain. There's two reasons why I don't like Boston. Only two reasons. My GPS never works in downtown because it doesn't work underground.
True.
And then two, something always happens at the stupid airport, whether it's delayed flights, bags are lost.
So true.
Yeah,
something always happens at the damn airport.
What airline do you use is the question.
Are you flying Spirit?
Huh?
You're flying Spirit.
Are you
aren't
flying
you?
Spirit?
No, hell no. No.
What about the Kowloon? Did you guys ever hit the Kowloon in Boston?
Oh, hell yeah. That was always the place to hit.
Yeah. The whole squad goes there, right? After every show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was his place to hit after everything.
Yeah, I went there last week. Yeah, and
now,
they love having you guys.
Oh yeah. The only thing that kind of spoiled it though about Kowloon is that all the fans knew that we always went there.
Yeah, they know.
They know. Yeah. Well, you got John Cena to blame for that too, because John Cena definitely like, we're going to Kowloon.
Yeah,
and John Cena will not be there. I'll tell you that much.
Right, he probably wouldn't even go.
He probably does that as a rib, knowing that you guys are going there. And he's not even there.
He be at Chow Chow's.
Yeah, I went one time because my friend had a car. This is back in high school. He had a car, and so I was like, all right, fine, let's go. And I'm tired as hell. After the show, we go to the Kowloon, and this guy's like, it's like a young Randy Orton. It's Maven, Booker T, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, the Dudley Boys, Chuck Palumbo. We met all these guys.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It was fun as hell just to interact with these guys in person. And they're ribbing us. They're trying to act like they're getting into fights. Obviously, it's a lot of us fell for it, and the police came, and it was all just a big work outside in the parking lot. They're just working the fans, and it's like now looking back on it, man, these guys just have some fun, man. They just want to interact with fans, and sometimes we don't see it, sometimes we do, and they're just having fun 24/7. So I'm sure being on the road is amazing.
Sure.
Similar to what Luis is saying, obviously you grew up as a wrestling fan. Who are some of the people that you looked up to to model your game after as you were coming up?
The first, I think Rey Mysterio was probably one of the first people that really got to me. Mind you, I didn't know anything about like American wrestling until I was maybe 16, 17. All I knew was lucha. That's all I knew was lucha. So, like, growing up, I would watch the luchadors. I would watch, like, Octagon and Atlantis, Rey Mysterio, obviously, Psychosis, La Parca. So I knew that.
Oh, AAA.
Yeah, AAA, CMLL, and yeah. Well, back then, yeah, AAA was a thing back then. It wasn't CMLL was kind of there, but it wasn't as big as AAA.
Yeah.
And then once I got into American wrestling, I think the first person that really got me was Jeff Hardy.
Oh.
Because I used to do amateur. I come from amateur originally, and so from amateur, I had a teammate who was like, "Hey, you want to come over to the house? We can watch WrestleMania." I was like, "What? Pro wrestling? That's gay. That's not real." And then, because that stigma that you get, and especially come from amateur.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool. And so one day I was like, okay, I'll go, I'll check it out. And then it was the WrestleMania where Edge speared Jeff Hardy from the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And then that to me was just the moment I was like, oh man, this is cool. I want to do this. And then there we went.
Oh man,
we went from there.
Now tell us.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys shared a lot of miles on the road. You and a bunch of other wrestlers. Tell us about some ribs or practical jokes that you may have been a part of, or that may have that you witnessed firsthand. You seem like you was a joker yourself.
Oh man, dude, we used to mess with each other quite a bit. I think the one of the very few ones that I can say without getting anybody in trouble. It's probably like, for instance, let's say there's 3 or 4 of us in the car, and the rule is you don't fall asleep in the car. Right on the road, you don't fall asleep.
Oh man.
Few exceptions, but normally you don't fall asleep. Okay. So one day it was myself, Del Rio, and then somebody else. I'm not going to say his name. We were driving. We had this pretty long drive, and it was one of those roads that had like nothing. Maybe a cow every now and then. Maybe a gas station that had like the flickering light that seemed out of like Resident Evil type thing. And, so anyway, so it was one of those roads, right, that had nothing. So myself and the road were talking. We're in the front and passenger side. And then we called out for the guy that was behind us, and he was like gone. He was done. He was out. So I look at Del Rio. We both had the same like, you ready? How's it get? I slam on the brake, and as soon as I slam on the brake, we both just yelled, we screamed. So he was recording. Del Rio was recording. So we just yelled, and obviously we pooped the guy out. I don't want to say he shit himself, but I think he did.
Now, I would love to know, tell me about your time with Vickie Guerrero being screamed at. No, I'm kidding. Tell me about your time with her, moments spent with her behind the scenes and on camera. What kind of chemistry is there? What kind of relationship was there? I love that WWE kept her around, gave her a job.
Yeah.
I love the whole story. As much as fans despise the character, no, it was a great thing what WWE did for her. And what was that like to work with her?
Well, first of all, I mean, it was an honor to, obviously, because, Betty. It was an honor to have done something with her, to have worked with her. I also had the pleasure of working with her daughter down in FCW. So it was great to have been a part of it. And she was lovely. She was so great. Like, that character that she had seen was nothing like her. She was so sweet. She was always kind. I never really saw her mad. Everybody gets upset, but I've never seen her mad. So it was great. Like, I'm honored, to be honest.
Now, tell us about your time working with RVD, man. Like, I know if you guys shared a car ride, it was definitely smoky in there.
A little murky.
A little cloudy.
So that was just weird, to be honest. It was weird. I like Rob because I've actually worked with him before WWE, and Rob is just Rob. He's him. He does him. Like, he goes, he shakes everybody's hand, he stretches, and then he goes on. He does his own thing. So here's how it came about. We're at the arena. Myself and Drew were up in the bleachers with Sin Cara and I think the Matadors. We're all just shooting the shit. And then Malenko comes. Dean Malenko comes, and then he's like, "Hey, Alberto, Ricardo, did you hear what they're doing?" And we're like, "No, sir. Ricardo, you're with RVD." Ricardo, you're with RVD. You're gonna come out and interrupt Del Rio. We're like, you're funny. Like, no, I'm serious. What? He's like, no, I'm serious. Oh, why? We'll discuss it later. Here's a rough draft. So, oh, okay. So look at Del Rio, and I'm like, did they tell you anything about this? He's like, no. He's like, all right, well. And you know what? Honestly, it brought me back to TV, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
So we did it. We did the whole thing. It stuck around for about, a month or two, month and a half or something. And then that was it. And then eventually, actually, I did ask Dean one day. We're just sitting and catering, and I was like, hey, Dean, can I ask you a question? What was the reasoning behind putting me with RVD? I'm not complaining, just what was the reasoning? And he goes, basically what they wanted was a bridge between Del Rio and RVD for the title. And the bridge was you. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
random, but all right, fine.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I'm on TV. Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm on TV. But here's the thing, though. Like, after that, it took me off.
One of the little known things that people don't know about you is that you are actually one of the starts of what is now one of the, what I think is one of the worst tag teams in WWE, the Ascension. When it was a full stable, you, Conor O'Brien, the aforementioned Raquel Diaz, who is Vickie Guerrero's daughter. Talk to us about your time as the Ascension and why that didn't formulate into you being, a full-time member of an actual stable.
So that whole thing was okay. So let me back again. I'm gonna backtrack again. So I'm a big nerd. I'm a big fan of The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino. Big fan of that movie. So every Wednesdays, I think we would have promo class with Dusty. Was it Wednesdays or something? Yeah, I think it was Wednesdays. And that's usually when we would land, and then we would have to go from the airport straight to FCW to check in. Depending on our flight, if we happened to get there too early, then we were stuck doing training and promos. If we got there late, then we would either just do promos or we wouldn't do anything at all. So we always had something in mind. We have to have something in mind. I never did. So I would just kind of make it up as I went. So then one day, what I started doing was basically playing devil's advocate with each one of the characters, but not knowing that eventually I wanted to put them all together. I just did it randomly. Like, for instance, when I did it with Ethical, because I did it to Ethical, I think Ethical was the first one. I did it to him, and then I would just go to ear to ear like the devil's advocate. Say, hey, yeah, you're good, but you're not Carlito. Yeah, you can get over. Oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, he can get over, but he needed an apple. So I would just go back and forth. I did the same thing with Shaw Guerrero. I did the same thing with her, but with Shaw, I got I got into her face. Not about her dad, about her mom. I never mentioned her dad, out of respect, obviously.
Yep.
But eventually, what I did was I was like, hey, hold on, I'm dealing with these guys. And then it was just one of those weird things that I just did it with these guys that I found a way to connect them all together. So another thing that people don't know about me, I'm huge into spirituality. So I don't know if you know anything about the chakras. There's 7 of them. So what I wanted originally was a 7-person stable, each one representing the chakras. And then not only that, because there's 7, it's going to form a triangle, eventually somehow. So, which would end up being the pyramids, right? And then like the top of the piece was going to be me, the mouthpiece, right? The all-seeing eye. That's what I wanted. So, but then Dusty said, he's like, hey, there's too many people. We need to cut down. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So we cut it down to Shaw being the girl. She will represent the women's division. Then we had Epico. He would be the cruiserweight guy. And then we had Connor, and we had Kenneth at the time. Kenneth Bram at the time, which would be the tag. And then not only that, they could be a tag, or Kenneth can turn into the Intercontinental guy, and then Connor could be the heavyweight. right? So it will fluctuate. So with me in the top, which it was still forms a pyramid-ish. So that was the idea. And then we did the whole thing, and then we did it, I think, maybe twice on TV, 3 times maybe, tops. And then Dusty calls me to the office one day, and then, goddamn, we're still throwing fireworks? Yeah, they are. Leftover fireworks. And I don't know if you guys can hear it. So he calls me into the office, and he basically says, hey, guys, hey, Ricardo. So basically, you're out of the Ascension. Straight up. He doesn't explain anything at first. He just says you're out of the Ascension. So it just threw me way off.
Did he go like Ricardo? Did he go like Ricardo, baby? We're gonna call you the Ascension, baby. Now this is what we're gonna do.
So because they just totally threw me off, I was just like, wait, what, what what the hell? So that's when explaining. He's like, it's because what happens is contradicting what you're doing up in the main roster. I was like, damn it. Yeah, okay.
Man.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Meanwhile, I have my hands in my pockets. I'm looking down, kicking a rock, type of thing. Yeah, exactly.
Nobody knows the trouble.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Looking to see how that gimmick has turned out, you probably dodged.
Well, because I was so keen into like the whole subliminal thing. I wanted to be more into like a Illuminati. That's kind of what I wanted. That's what I wanted to initially take it. And then, cool, that happens, whatever. And then they're off TV, I think, that week. And then the next week, they become vampires. And it threw me off. And I was mad at first. I was so mad at first.
But if you look at their symbol now, it's still kind of that triangle with the thing.
Yeah, again, so the Ascension, to me, that's the name that we came up with myself and this guy named Matt Malero. We came up with that name because Ascension was you're going to rise, right? So that's the whole thing that we were thinking of, rising. So the Ascension, that's the Ascension name. That's something that we came up with. It wasn't their idea; it was our idea. So again, it was all going to be like conspiracy theory, Illuminati type stuff. That's what we wanted to. And then when Victor came in, he just kind of adopted the whole the Eye of Horus. And that was basically it. And then, I mean, again, I don't know what they're doing with them now. The last I saw, they were doing like a comedy thing.
Yes.
With
Breezango.
Fandango.
Yeah, we just don't talk about them no more.
So switching gears real quick, I'm a big belt head. I love belts. I have a few at home. They're just so cool. I love the big gold. I'm into it. How did you feel about
WCW one?
Yeah, right. Yeah, all of those. But then WWE came along and kind of modified it a little bit, not by much, made their own.
No, they changed the name of it.
So what do you think? What did you think of their version?
The one we had.
Right, exactly. You were around it, so was it just the same thing to you, or like did you pay it any mind?
Okay, because I was so late to American wrestling. To me, it was basically it looked the same. They just instead of saying WCW, instead of saying WCW, just said WWE.
Yeah.
To me.
Really? Yeah. No. Hey, not to me. It looked a little smaller. It was like rounder. The other one is like it's like squished a little more flat. These little details.
How heavy is it?
My two favorite ones were the one during the Attitude Era, the big circle one with the globe at the top. That one, and then that one, and then the eagle, the winded eagle.
Yeah, the one right before it.
That's the best one they ever made.
The Bret Hart one.
I like the Attitude Era one, to be honest. That one and the big gold from WCW.
Yeah, the big gold is definitely up there.
Classic.
Which is Ric Flair actually paid for that belt. He had that made. That was his belt. But
nice, I didn't know that.
So Julio asked you, but we were all kind of talking at the same time. How heavy was it?
No, the spinner one sucked. That one was heavy. The spinner one was heavy as hell.
Really?
That was heavy as hell.
Oh,
heavier than the big gold belt.
Yeah.
Not that heavy. I mean, it had weight on them, but But after holding the spinner one and then holding the gold one, and the gold one was light.
Wow.
Yeah, the spinner one looked like it had some thickness to it on the plates.
Yeah, that one was heavy. That one was heavy.
Now, you've been hit with both. Which one hurts more?
The spinner.
Okay.
Man, yeah, the actual spinner can get caught in like your eyebrow or something. Like I would hate to be in the lines of that.
He looked like he sounded like he had a flashback. Like, oh yeah, the spinner. Yeah, I remember that.
No, I'm just going back. I'm just going back in my head, about getting caught in the head.
Yeah, luckily you had all that hair.
I've learned that knee braces. No, knee braces hurt.
Oh.
If you don't put your hands up. The first time I took the 619, I was such a little kid. In my head, I'm such a little kid. I'm like, I'm gonna make this look good. I'm not gonna put my hands up. The first time I took the 619, so I didn't put my hands up, and Ray's knee brace got me right in the face, and dude, that hurt like a bitch.
Oh,
it was like he's doing a great job selling this 619. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and he never warned you or anything. Hell, make sure you put your hands up. I have a knee brace on.
No, it just kind of happened, and then when he went for it, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm taking it. I'm not gonna put my hands up, and I did it, and then it hurt. Thankfully, it didn't cut me open. Thankfully, it didn't cut me.
Yeah.
But it sucked.
Oh man.
And then I learned after a while. There's a lot of things that I learned on the job.
Yeah.
Khali's chop, Khali's big thing to the head. That one sucked dick.
I can't imagine working with Khali, man. Khali, what's it like to work with Khali? How do you communicate?
Okay, it was kind of like when you spend enough time with somebody, you start to understand them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, and then like Drew McIntyre is one of my closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I met him, I could not understand anything he said. Because of his accent. But after a while, I started kind of guessing what he was trying to, say. So I learned to understand him. Same with Khali. I understand what he's saying now. So I don't know. It's just a matter of spending enough time with somebody that you learn how to pick up what they're trying to get at.
One of my favorite things that you did in the WWE in your time there was the program you did with Santino Marella. I like to laugh. I like to be entertained. And that was two of the funniest people they've had on TV in the past 15 years together interacting. What was that like?
You know how that came about? How that came about? That came about out of just something random. Because like Santino had that show, I think it was like on the web thing or YouTube.
Yep.
He had that, and then one day, like, just somebody didn't show up. I guess like he was supposed to have somebody else, and then like they got caught up with something else. So he's like, "Hey, Ricardo, you want to do this?" And I kid you, I'm not BSing you. Everything that you saw when we did that Santino exchange, where I'm sitting on the couch thing, everything was on the fly.
That was gonna be my next question. Did you guys rehearse any of that? Was it all on script?
That whole thing, no. That whole thing was on the fly. Just because it was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I was like, "Yeah, what are we doing?" I don't know, just follow my lead. I was like, "Okay." And then we just started in one take. And that was all the fun. And everything just went from there. And then we started doing little things where he was chasing me with the bull rope. And it led into the match. And the match happened on SmackDown. It was fun. And then they turned it into a pay-per-view. And then that pay-per-view sucked, man. I hated it. No, I'll tell you why, though. Because between myself and Santino, I think we have a good grasp of, A, wrestling, 2, comedy stuff. We've both seen enough wrestling. We've both seen enough guys that, have gone out and done successful stuff just being comedy acts, and it works for them. But we had so many people telling us, do this, now do that, now do this. I was like, dude, just let us fucking do this. It took the fun out of it. For me, at least. I don't know how Santino felt. But I know for me, it was just like, man, let us just do this. Let us just do it. But at the end of it, we had so many people telling us, do that, now do this. Okay, now, no, you know what? And then we would have random person 47 come in. Hey, you know what would be great, guys? If you guys did this, okay, yeah. So it just took the fun out of it, to be honest. And then when we finally did the match, I don't know what it looked like because I haven't watched it. I've never watched it, but I felt forced to me.
You mean you're not on the $9.99 plan per month?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen it on my royalty check, so I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Actually,
right.
you know, I always wondered.
Yeah.
Do they actually charge like active like
They better
employees.
They better not.
Inside of
or
the WWE
alumni.
Network. Like I always wondered that. Like,
So do they charge you for a subscription? Do they offer?
I don't have it.
You don't have that. That's crazy.
No, I gave my no. Hold on.
They should just give you one. Okay, you do.
Wait. I
Yep.
gave my code to somebody else because I didn't want it.
Gotcha.
well, I will gladly take that code and remove myself from that $9.99 list. We can talk offline.
So we talked about Santino. That's the guy who became, a buddy. Obviously, you had great chemistry. You got to work with him and feud with him. What about guys or ladies who you said, "Holy shit, that's really him," from your days as a fan and then working into being in the WWE and seeing like
Malenko,
the Undertaker,
right off the bat.
Hogan.
Right off the bat, first Malenko. That was once I really got into wrestling, and I started actually training and stuff. I started watching a lot of guys. That's when I started really like. I got out of fan mode and I went into wrestling mode of like, who can I watch to learn good stuff? So I picked up Malenko, Benoit. I picked up a lot of Muda. I picked up a lot of Negro Casas, Solar from Mexico. I picked up a lot of stuff from the UK, World of Sport. So I got out of fan mode. Because what happens now is, especially guys that go from fan to wanting to train, they don't see the move per section. They see the move as a whole. So they skip out on all the little details that make the move. They don't see the footwork. They don't see the technique. They don't see the timing. They don't see the hands of the feet. They don't see that. They just see move. So we have to get out. If you want to be a wrestler, you have to get yourself out of fan mode. In a sense. Like, for instance, I have a degree in graphic design and animation. Before WWE, I was a graphic designer. So, instead of seeing, oh, hey, cool poster, like, I started watching the poster. I would see the poster, and I would analyze it. Okay, I know what they did here. They did this. They did that. Right, so, that's kind of the same mentality going into wrestling. So, I started watching a lot of guys that were technically savvy. I saw a lot of Jamie Noble. I picked up a lot of Jamie Noble. So, when I got to WWE, obviously, Eddie to me was number one. Both being Mexican, that had a lot to do with it. So like the first person that like really I was like, oh my god, was Malenko easily.
Oh man, like is he the same way as he is on camera? Because I remember like Dean Malenko, WCW, the Iceman, the Man of 1,000 Holds, and I used to love his entrance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his theme song.
Well, mind you, I was also there during the time when he had his heart attack. So there was a big difference before his heart attack and then after.
Yeah, but he always just came across to me like as someone who's just like very stoic, very serious.
What? I'm sorry.
Very like stoic, just always serious, like monotone. Just like the way he comes off. Like there's no.
Okay.
You can't tell if he's excited or if he's like mad. He's just always that
yes or no. Like it took again. It's something just like so you have to be around him long enough to kind of get what to get what they are. Like for instance, he'll joke with you. He'll joke around with you a lot. But sometimes you don't know if he's kidding or not. Because you'll ask him, "Hey, Dean, so what are we doing today?" He'll just go, "Yo, you're getting fired." So we're just like, "What?
Oh.
Like, what did I do?" No, like he would just keep walking. So he like sometimes he wouldn't even turn around and say, "Oh, I'm just kidding." No, he would just keep going. So I was like, "Wait, Dean, wait." So I would chase him like a little puppy. What do you mean? Until eventually he's like, "No, I'm just messing with you." Oh, okay. No, but seriously, you're getting fired.
No. Tell you like an hour later, I was just playing around.
Yeah.
Oh man! Now, what were some of the highlight matches that you were able to just witness firsthand, being with the company? Of course, you were at WrestleMania. You guys actually.
Yeah. Obviously, Taker losing the first time. Which I was actually at New Orleans. That was New Orleans. Taker losing and then Daniel Bryan winning. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I think the very first match that just really threw myself and Del Rio off as well was Sheamus and Daniel Bryan in Miami. Because Del Rio was hurt, so when he came back, he didn't have enough time to build anything to a match. Yep. So we were off of WrestleMania. So we were just up, just in the skybox with everybody else, and we were just watching. And then, I was with my girlfriend, and he was just hanging out because I think his wife was with his kids. So we were just watching or whatever. And then, ding, 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 kick, 1, 2, 3. And we're just like, what the fuck? We're like, what the fuck? And then, like, the first thing that we both thought, who did he piss off? That's the first thing that we thought. Daniel Bryan pissed somebody off.
Safe to say he got the last laugh, though.
Yeah. It all came full circle. But that was the very first match that just really was like, wait, what just happened? But no, I'm honestly being a part of Daniel Bryan, the victory, Undertaker losing, and then a sadder one. The very first time I met the Ultimate Warrior was the last time that he was on Raw.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, and then the following day he passes away, and then it's just one of those weird.
Tell us about the time when Alberto won the Royal Rumble. It was actually, I want to say, within his first calendar year.
It was actually his first year. Yeah, it was his first year that he was there. It was a shock. It was a shock.
Did you guys know, like, going into it, or is it something that they probably just like relayed to him when he's in the ring?
It was brought up. It was brought up. But here's the thing though, like, and then anybody who's been there, they'll tell you, like, okay, let's say that somebody comes up to you 2-3 weeks prior and says, hey, we're thinking about this. The next day they'll be like, oh, you know what, never mind. And then like 2-3 days later, you know what, I think we're gonna go with what we said originally. So you just kind of like, okay, yeah. You don't get excited until you're actually there and they actually give you the final yes. Yep. So it was brought up and we were just like, okay, well, we don't see it happening, but okay. I mean, especially because the Rose is its first year. Yeah, so we're just like, okay, yeah. And then both myself and Alberto has been around long enough to just take it with a smile and just, okay, yes, sir. And then if it happens, great. If it doesn't, hey, you know what? All right, that's cool. I'm glad it did happen. I was happy to be a part of it. Wait, we were in Boston, weren't we?
Yes, you were.
Yeah, we were in Boston because all I remember was we went to Kowloon's. Oh, I remember I couldn't talk after that because they had me just keep yelling. They're like, Alberto Del Rio, Alberto Del Rio, and then like I will stop, and the cameraman, because I know the cameraman has somebody on his ear. The cameraman would just say, keep going, and then, like I think I did it for a good couple of minutes, and then like my voice started going, and then the cameraman, I know we were off air at this point. I know we were off air. The cameraman goes, keep going. I'm just like, dude. Keep going. So I did.
You think he was ripping you?
Because enough time had passed, and I know we were off air. But I think they were. I know they were messing with me. But it's all right. Because I remember we got to Kowloon's and I couldn't talk at all.
Oh man.
So you're still good friends with Alberto, correct?
Yeah. Actually, I just talked to him today. I talked to him this morning.
Oh, tell him we say what's up. I love Alberto.
Yeah, I'll tell him what's up.
Personally, I think we need more Latino stars in WWE. I know that had been something they were
so
discussing.
So do I.
It'd be nice to see. So I was hype when I saw Zeb introduce him the last time he came back.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that.
Over in L.A., of all places. So he got a huge pop, including in my living room. I was hype. But anyway, he says, right, according to reports, he says he's got about 2 years left in the tank. Does a WWE return do his career justice? Does his career deserve that? What do you think?
I don't know. I know he did say his time was coming up. I know he did tell me his time was coming up. How long that's going to be, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But as far as in ring, that's a big thing. In ring, maybe if it is 2 years, it's going to be in ring. That doesn't take away from anything office or even create his own company. Who knows? I'm pretty sure. Just like I mean, hell, if he went the Mil Máscaras route, he could be wrestling until he's. I don't even know how old Mil Máscaras is. Was 70s maybe? No, that's Dos Caras. Mil Máscaras is his uncle. Mil Máscaras is the very first wrestler at Madison Square Garden with a mask.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, as far as in ring, I mean, it's up. Honestly, it's up to him. It really is up to him. Just because we all get that wrestling itch, you know. How many times has Terry Funk retired? You know, we all get that itch. You know, you're at home, you're watching everybody else have fun, and you're just like, you know what? I want to have fun too. It's not fair. Screw these guys. I'm gonna get in there.
Now, if you could put together one match, any stipulation, any event, what would it be?
With anybody involved or myself?
Anybody.
Okay.
You, anybody.
Past or present?
It's in the ball's in your court.
Del Rio against Eddie. With me involved.
Ooh. Would you play the role of Dominic? Right. Would you?
No. Are they fighting for the right for you to be their announcer? Is this a Ricardo on a pole match?
Only because
Ricardo with a shark tank.
No, only because I would have loved. That would have been my dream to have done something with Eddie. I had the pleasure of working and wrestling with Chavo. Obviously, doing something with Vickie and doing something with Shaw. We did a short thing, I think. No, we didn't. I was gonna say with Gory, but no, we didn't. Or Chavo Senior. I'm sorry. I would have loved that because that was my hero, and I've only cried from one wrestling death, and that was when Eddie died, and I was still a fan. I wasn't even wrestling.
Me too.
I wasn't wrestling.
Yeah.
But that was the only wrestler I've ever cried from.
Yes, when they went to Raw, right? Is that what you were watching?
No,
they did the tribute.
Well, no. I cried as soon as I read it.
As soon as you read it, okay.
As soon as I read it online.
The tribute got me.
I cried, and then when I saw it online, when I saw it Raw, I bawled like a little bitch.
Exactly.
I totally did.
Yeah, that got me. That got me. So again, let's keep the creative hat on. Looking at your WWE career, what would you do? Calling it down the line, being fair, how would you make any adjustments to your time there in terms of how your character was portrayed in ring and out of the ring? What adjustments would you make with your creative hat on?
I wouldn't have split me from Del Rio.
You wouldn't have split you from Del Rio?
No, I would not have been split from Del Rio.
Right. I agree. It's like a Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar type of thing. You don't need to mess it up.
I'll tell you one thing. When he came back with Zeb Colter, I was not feeling it. It did not have the same feel.
It was a curveball. It was
element of surprise.
And they did the United Nations thing, and then
that threw it all off.
And also, mind you, I wasn't watching a lot because I was in India during this time. So that was during my time in India. So because Del Rio told me that he had been talking to the office, but he didn't tell me when he was coming back. But he had told me that. They had contacted him or whatever. He didn't go into detail, but he was like, just letting you know. So if I do go back, just let you know. If they don't call you, it's nothing personal. I was like, dude, man, you're my brother, man. Like, if as long as you're happy, man. And then that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, that dude. Like, that is my fucking brother.
Yeah, right.
Not blood, but like sometimes it doesn't have to be blood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were together, man, for so long, and then even when they split us up, they continuously told us not to write together, but we didn't give a shit. We still wrote together.
Hey, they want to control that too. Hey.
Yeah, no. Well, and here's why. Look, because like they were split up 2 other guys, and nobody would ever say anything if they still stay together, like in the car or they were not to eat or whatever. Nobody fucking said anything. So like they're telling us, hey, you guys can't be riding together. Fuck off. We just didn't we didn't care. So we just we still rode together. And I think that only lasted maybe like 2 weeks. I think we did it for about 2 weeks where we like rode separately. But after I was like, I just found, I'm not sitting by with this other guy. And I love the dude, but like, it's not the same.
Did he drop you off at the corner before arriving to the arena?
Yeah, right?
All right, go. I'm going to wait here for like 2 minutes. Then I'm going in.
Yeah.
Now, we cannot let you go. I mean, it's coming down. We don't want to have you getting any pneumonia or anything. But, we cannot let you go without getting an Alberto Del Rio impersonation from you. This band up and down, left and right. I got to hear it like a hey, pero. I got to hear it. Got to hear a great impersonation.
I'd be honored if you hit it, man.
You should have paid me for this.
Channel it.
Just the real thing?
Yeah.
Good impersation. You got to hear it.
Well, mind you, it's cool as shit. Okay.
Quote unquote for our listeners, but really for us.
Damas y caballeros, directo aquí de Orlando, Florida. Les presento la esencia de excelencia el orgullo de México. Él es Alberto
My night has been made.
Oh, man.
My week has been made. Let's get it. I'm going to tweet him that part. I'm going to tweet Alberto that part.
We're looking to try to get him. We're trying to get him on. We reached out to his people. We're trying to get him on for February. So any nudge that you can do would greatly be appreciated.
I think I'm seeing him. Actually, I'm going to see him next week.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'll let him know.
We definitely reached out to his people, so we wanted to remain professional with that. But yeah, any nudge would help us.
Yeah, hey, and then y'all got a fellow brother right here. I'm half Mexican.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you had to throw that out there.
Just one little thing though. One other thing, just because I don't want it to go off as like, he's Untitled Chapter. I was like, no, man. These are just separate instances that happen. I enjoyed my time there. I honestly did. If it wasn't for them, A, I wouldn't be talking to you guys.
Right.
And then B, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. So I enjoyed my time there. I'm thankful for the time that I was there.
Absolutely.
What we spoke about tonight were just instances that happened while I was there. It's not what I feel about the whole entire thing. It's just things that happened. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful to Vince, specifically to Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful for Dean Malenko, who protected us a lot. He looked out for us a lot. So I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for a lot of the guys. I'm thankful for Chavo that took us in right away as soon as we got in. I'm thankful for a lot of people that just guided us, and it was truly a blessing. It was an honor to have my name be a part of Royal Wrestling Entertainment. To have that paycheck that comes in. That has the WWE, the scratch WWE logo, like that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
To have been a part of helping to be a part of getting some people hired that are there now. They're making a killing. That they're just supporting their families. They bought their houses. It's all being a big blessing, and I'm hoping that whoever I've impacted positively or negatively. That they can turn it around and then share it with somebody else in a positive manner. So to everybody that has supported us or not supported us, I just want to say thank you. Because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
Now tell
Where's
the audience where can they find you at? Across social media. Or if you want to be found, how can they find you?
I want to be found. Don't say anything.
Yeah, Julio is.
I'm prominent and not wanting to be found. So,
what are the best ways people can keep up with what you're doing?
Well, currently, until I'm able to find out, because I've tried to contact Twitter and they're not answering. Until I'm able to keep my name or keep the blue check mark, and then possibly change the name. It's still going to be RRWE on Twitter. My Instagram, which is J_Rodriguez 818. That's Instagram. And then you can always find me there. My YouTube is Chimera 818. It's spelled CHIMAERA 818. And then that's the best way to get a hold of me. And yeah, let's do business.
All right. Thank you so much.
Now hold on. Now, are you following back? Because we're trying to get,
Jay.
we're trying to drive these follows. We're
He's
trying
Twitter
to get
savvy.
these likes. We're trying to get it up there. So people reach out to you. People reach out to you.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
they get a follow back? Asking for a friend.
We're hearing buttons now. We're hearing buttons.
Real quick about that, right? Well, people hit me up about that.
Right.
Hey, I'm your biggest fan. Can I get a follow?
Follow me
And
back.
I click under. Hold on. Yeah. I click under. Oh no. I'm your biggest fan. Can I get a follow? Okay, so I click under her page, and all I see is they tweet it out to everybody. Not only that, they have a picture of, say, Seth Rollins, and then their handle is John Cena fan or Roman Reigns #1 lover or something, whatever. #1 fan, huh?
Wow.
That's what they probably say. #1 fan that reached out to you today. That's what they meant.
Yeah.
That's the greed of the Twitterverse.
That's the note. If you're going to reach out to Mr. Rodriguez himself and ask for a like, be authentic and don't say you're his #1 fan.
Put his picture up as the Abby, at
Or
least
something.
temporarily,
It's
man.
not a guarantee, but it's a good start.
Let him feel the love.
Deal.
Hey, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Definitely.
A great get
Solid.
for the Unsanctioned Podcast.
Solid. Listen, to think how much he has done in the wrestling world in such a short time, both in the ring and outside of the ring, somebody you won't ever forget.
Just little tidbits too, about his time working, with Vickie Guerrero and then her daughter down at NXT. Also the Ascension. A lot of people don't even remember that.
Or what it's like to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Which is something I've always wondered.
Or what it's like to be hit by the Big Show.
Yeah.
Right? Or the
Full
or
blown
Big Khali.
2 times, you know what I mean? The Big Khali.
Or what it's like to be hit by the spinner belt.
Oh, spinner belt.
Or Rey Mysterio's knee brace. So,
Or, dang, he's taking a whooping.
yeah, I know, right? He got hit by a knee brace, Big
would-
Show, title belts.
All of that. Rob Van Dam.
I know, right? Just nonstop, man. He bigs up Dean Malenko, bigs up Vince McMahon. And I think that's the important point to get across. He wants everyone to know he is not bitter.
No, he's not at all, and it doesn't come off that way. It's cool that he said that at the end, but his conversation with us did not come off as being bitter at WWE at all. It's just insightful. It's very insightful, and the stuff he was saying, there were good stories. We talked about Vickie, we talked about Del Rio, we talked about everything we just mentioned now, Triple H, Vince, Khali, even the stuff with Triple H. He's like, nah, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say Vince was cool. Vince, he knows how to navigate, and so he didn't come off bitter at all.
Seemed
cool.
like he was very appreciative of the opportunity they gave him.
Yeah, and honestly, we want to thank him once again because for record lows in Florida where he is at, he's experiencing some.
Man,
some
he was
probably
talking.
cold
I will
weather.
knock him right now. He was talking like he was in the Arctic. We are in the Arctic right now in Boston.
Hey man,
We are in the Arctic.
He's not
We're
too familiar
suffering.
with it. He's not too familiar with it. So we wanna thank him for
Freezing
braving
in
the elements.
Orlando.
He's probably at 51 degrees right now. We want to
Man.
thank him for braving the elements.
He's so cold right now. He's only in his pool up to his waist. That's how cold he is right now. Nah, all love. We love you, Jesus. Thank you for being on the Unsanctioned Podcast.
Definitely,
really
man.
appreciate the time. What a great conversation, fellas.
Phenomenal.
Another great episode. Want to thank you guys.
Yes.
Haven't said Happy New Year to you
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Happy New
First
Year.
episode of 2018.
That's
Down
right.
in the books.
Happy New Year to our
Yes.
listeners. You can follow us at Unsanctioned PW on Twitter and Facebook. Jay, yep. Facebook's your baby. Twitter's mine. So we all.
you just
I mean,
specify.
we
It's
all love
our
the kids equally, but
hour.
you created that. I created Twitter.
For
We
those
all
who
use it, but-
for those who are
You created Twitter. We should be a lot richer than we are.
yes,
I created the
but you
Twitter
know-
account. You created the Facebook account.
Definitely.
We all have a hand in it. We all use them. But I'm saying, if you created that and I created that, those are our creations,
well,
man. Those
now
are our
that we got to
babies,
do,
man.
now we need to direct all of our Twitter followers to like the Facebook
Yeah.
page as well.
Check it out. Sometimes we live tweet the shows. We were doing Raw last night.
Yep.
We were live tweeting Monday Night Raw last night. Let me rephrase that. So, unsanctioned.
Trying to get us some copyright infringement lawsuits going on, Luis.
It just sounded funny, I think, is why he changed it.
I needed to retract. I don't care.
It
if
sounded funny.
people caught it or not. For me, I needed to
Hey, it
retract.
didn't sound right.
So thank you everyone for checking it all out. FightBoothPW.com. Find us on Twitter and Facebook at UnsanctionedPW. You can find me on Twitter lurking at Luis Vasquez 617.
Jay Holland, once again, JAYOCITY is my Twitter handle. That's JO City. Find me on Twitter or Facebook. Just add the 781 at the end of that.
I'm Julio.
You can find him at Find Julio June.
Fly
Dot.
like an
Dot. Don't forget the dot. 3 of them.
That might be your Twitter handle. Dot.
That'd be perfect.
You know what it's at dot the word and then the dot and then dot. Yeah, we might have to do that.
Dot.
We might have to do.
Give him some of these ideas you guys are giving us. That might have to be it because they suck so far.
So far, they haven't been that great.
Tell how you feel.
Help Julio come up with the Twitter handle at unsanctioned. Oh, no, that's social media. Email it to unsanctionedpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
There we go.
You already know, man. For the Unsanctioned Podcast, once again, we thank you, all of you, for helping us cross the 1,000 follower plateau. It is extremely, extremely appreciated, and to Fight Booth for displaying our content, man. And once again, we only go as far as you guys help us go. So send us all your feedback. We love the support. Keep us in the loop on what you guys want to hear. You already know, this is the Unsanctioned Podcast. We are now unsanctioned over your airwaves.
Peace.
Keeper, and you ain't even want us. A card game, master discover, whole lot of game. I'm the new A butter, Hustle Squad South. I've been in the trap.